Welcome to another improvisational episode of the Freedom Tapestry Project. And we're going to have a special guest on, Jared. So we're going to have Ben, we're going to have Samia, we're going to have the whole gang. It's going to be great. And that's all you need to know. Just come on, hang out. We're going to hang out for an hour and check on C. And we're going to have fun on with Ben. Where he is, I don't know. Where's Ben?
Hey,
Hey, where are you?
I'm outside right now. I'll give you a little. So I'm walking through my neighborhood. Check it out. This is part of my daily walk. You can see Warner Brothers over there. That's one of the stages, the Warner Brothers stages. It's this is the Smokehouse, this amazing old school steakhouse. I think George Clooney might have named his company after it, Smokehouse. Anyway, so it's just out in my walk, enjoying a cigar. I took a break from work, from writing, and jumping into this. So I'm really excited. Jared's artwork is amazing, and I can't wait to have him on, today. And I think it's going to be really great. And I'm really excited to hear what you guys dive into.
So wait, but before you go on, tell me why you're smoking the cigar.
Well,
What's the occasion?
There's a couple of things. We've got our comic book with Marvel, Werewolf by Night, is back on. It's coming out in October. Tomorrow with virtual San Diego Comic-Con, they've got the stay-at-home Comic-Con. We've got our Marvel panel at 11 a.m., so that's very exciting. I've been writing a kid's book. Been working on it off and on for 5 years. Been working as a development for animation as well. I first started developing it at Cartoon Network, and then I ended up doing it independently just to write a book. And I finished the book yesterday, so I was very excited about that. Thank you. The book is first draft. And then I just finished the pilot. There's a jerk in his loud car. And I finished the pilot for our one cartoon based off of the book as well today. So I was like, you know what? I've been in writer mode. My brain has been hurting. And then I'm going to have to start writing issue 4 for Marvel. And I was like, I need to get out, enjoy a cigar. So, Brittany says stoked for WVN. I am too, and I think everybody's going to really like it, hopefully. You never know. But it's about werewolves and robots and monsters. It's super fun.
Werewolves, robots, and monsters.
Yeah. Oh, you're doing that? Check this out. This is the one I found.
Yeah. Check. What?
I feel like I'm on a horse. Sorry.
Wait, do it with the smoke. Smoke your cigar while you're doing that.
Yeah, okay, hold on.
Everybody else out there. I think they've got to see, oh, there you go. That's perfect. What do y'all think? Let's leave some comments in there. What do you think?
Being silly. Anyway, well, I'm going to jump off here. I think Samia said she just requested. Did that come through?
Okay,
do you see her?
Perfect.
Do you see her request? She's in there. She's in the mix.
I think you have to get off here.
Well, I'll get off, and Samia's going to jump in.
All right.
I'll catch you all later. Good seeing you.
Good.
Cheers.
All right, I'll see you soon.
Bye.
All right. There we go. All right, I'm going to get Samia on here, and there we go. I want to say my art show's going well, my solo art show. I'm Aaron Jack, and I'm at Aaron Jack Line Art on Instagram. So I've got a solo show. Check it out. And Samia is going to be coming on here from Damascus.
Hi.
What's up? How you doing?
Hi.
Yeah?
Yeah, how are you doing?
I'm well. I was just saying I've got my solo show going on, and it's going super well, and it's strange.
Yeah, I really.
Well, it's just strange doing anything in physical location.
Yeah, I really like what you're doing with the Ron and Chef, actually. I really like it.
Thank you. Yeah, I heard you were exchanging some recipes.
Yeah, actually, with the chef, yes, I was exchanging some Syrian recipes. It would be mostly it's like vegan. We have like vegan part and with meat. It's usually called the poor food because poor people used not to eat meat. So because that they used to call it like vegan food for for I don't know why we're talking about Yeah.
Why
So
not? Because that's what's going on with your life. You tell us what's going on. Everybody loves
yeah,
you. Give Samia some hearts, down
yes,
there. You know,
really
give her
hard.
some hearts in the comments, right?
It
Give
takes
her
me
some
forever to be
emojis.
alive. It's really hard. It takes me like to be really brave. You have to be really brave to be alive, especially if you are not a comfortable person with, with camera. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
thank you so much for coming on today.
today, couldn't hear you.
Yeah, you came on today. You came on the live today. Thank you. I
Yes.
really appreciate that. I know everybody else down here does. Look at all those hearts. You got so many hearts.
Oh, thank you, Ben. Thank you, Brinhy and
Brittany, yeah, that's
Manuel
Brittany.
and Dara, I think. Yeah. Oh, Dara, hi.
Yeah, there we go. Look, so many hearts. Don't you love that? Everybody loves me coming on here.
Um, what do you call it? Oh my God, I forgot the word. Like female, you know.
Is our internet connection? Are we having trouble? Yeah. Is our internet connection? Is it my internet connection? Whose internet connection is this? Because it's hard to tell on these things whose internet connection. So let me know in the comments what's happening. Is my internet going? Samia? Oh, okay. All right. Well, we'll have to is my internet okay? All right. We lost Samia. So I think what's gonna happen here, we've got we've got our guest. We've got the amazing painter here, Jared. We're gonna get him on here. Thank you all for hanging out. You're all amazing. I appreciate you. We do this for you. Thank you. Hey,
Hello.
hello.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, you're perfect. Just the way
Great.
you are.
Thank you. How's it going?
Oh, it's going well. It's going well. How are you? Where are you? When are you?
When is the best question here? I'm doing okay. I'm here in Chicago. Um, I recently finished art school finally. So I'm like literally checking my inbox every single day to see when I get my degree in. Um, uh, But yeah, so that was an interesting period with the lockdown going on and everything like that, and the school being closed and everything. It's a very weird way to finish up school, but here we are. Yeah.
Wow, how was that to finish up school like that?
It felt like my camera frozen.
Yeah, your camera is definitely frozen.
Oh boy. Okay. Should I
But we
just
can hear
reconnect?
you, right? Give me some thumbs up or let me know in the comments if you can hear Jared. Let me know in the
Okay.
comments. But I can hear you.
Okay, okay, good.
So
I'll keep talking then. Maybe it's better I'm frozen.
all right, perfect.
Yeah, it was weird to finish up school with this. I don't really know how it normally is to finish up school during a well, like to graduate. Um, but it was such a weird kind of time where I felt like I really wasn't getting like the kind of closure that I needed with like a lot of my professors and everything. Um, so it felt really like um, really stagnated, and like for a while it got me pretty down. But I mean, honestly, I didn't really mind like missing graduation or anything like that. I probably wasn't going to attend anyways, to be honest. But yeah, it was. I'm just glad that I got my degree in under time, and now schooling is sounds like quite a bit of a nightmare with how a lot of schools around the country, especially, are handling it. So yeah,
Well, how did your classmates feel?
It was really, really weird. Some people like didn't mind it at all. A lot of people were like super, super bummed out about it, because of like the quality of education, um, and like not being able to work in a studio anymore, and like, not being able to get feedback and everything like that. A lot of classes just like their structures just like completely like fell apart, and it was just like, well, we can't do anything, which was super frustrating to see. Um, a lot of my classmates have that problem, and like the whole school and how they handled it wasn't the best. Um, but yeah.
How do you think they should have handled it?
Well, they could have been a lot more upfront about a lot of their policies. It was something that like a lot of students were banding together against the school, um, at SAIC, um, and we were like kind of pressuring our like class president, well, the school president and everything like that to try to get more like transparency about like where the budget was going and like why tuition refunds weren't happening and stuff like that. And it was such a weird kind of period how like they kept like shuffling their cards around and stuff like that, and like kept like trying to keep us in the dark about like what was going on and everything. And it was very frustrating because a lot of people had spent, like their life savings and like their enormous amount of debts to go to this school, and it was very very upsetting, to see all that like hard work and like, um, all that potential, and just the school just really really didn't care about it, and to see a lot of other schools handling it the same way was very disappointing.
So they just weren't like transparent about how they were transitioning or what?
Well, I mean, the schools were like, okay, so we're not going to have any more studio classes. So if you're in a painting class, then you just stay at home, and we're not going to do anything about it, and we're not going to refund your money. And you can't use any of the facilities on campus anymore. And it's like, what did I give you my money for? You know? Um, so it was a very frustrating time, and like everyone was banding together and stuff like that, and the school still is like fighting it quite a bit, but yeah.
So people are still trying to like get some refunds back from the last
Yeah,
semester.
definitely. There's still definitely a lot of pressure on the School of the Art Institute of Chicago to get like some kind of conclusion here, and like some kind of like recognition for like the students who like missed out on so much, and like especially the MFA students at our school who like couldn't even go back to their studios and stuff like that, and like they had paid all their tuition to like have access to that one studio, and it's like, well, now you can't even go there anymore, and like your belongings you left there, they're just like, we'll try to ship them out to you eventually, but like it's just so crazy. um
Wait, they just
yeah.
left everybody's stuff in the studio and were like,
A lot of students, they were told they were allowed to leave like their belongings in their rooms and in the studios. So like people had left laptops and textbooks and like a lot of personal possessions and whatever. And they just weren't allowed to like come back on campus because campus was closed. So it was a super super frustrating time for everyone. And professors had to deal with that too, being like, okay, now this textbook that we thought everyone had, we have to throw that out, and we're just gonna like go by the fly here and like try to learn whatever we can. It was very interesting.
wow, that's
I
so
definitely didn't expect that kind of well, the school to be handling it like that.
yeah, yeah. And you were supposed to were you supposed to have like a senior show or anything like that, or how did that work?
Yeah, it was. We opened for I think 2 days or maybe a day and a half before it actually closed, and like very very few people showed up, and it was a lot of my peers were just super super disappointed, and it was really frustrating to see. And I felt super sorry for like anyone who had like interactive art and stuff like that. People who have been working their butts off to like finish like the video games and stuff like that to like interact with, and like to see people just like see an interactive piece in the gallery and just like run away from it, because of just the transfer of, bacteria and whatever.
Yeah, that's interactive art is going to change, right?
Oh yeah, definitely going on the back burner.
So what have you
Can
been
I?
work? Hmm. No,
So
go
hang
ahead.
on. Can I hang up real quick? Because I'm a little frustrated. My cam's just
Oh
off.
yeah, yeah, yeah. You can get out and come back.
Okay.
Yeah, that's probably a good idea. Yeah, we're just gonna, yeah, the camera thing. You know, it's this technically strange world that we live in. Isn't it strange? It's a strange world, but we're in this together. I think that's the beautiful thing. We're here at the Freedom Tapestry Project. We're in this together. Oh,
All
there you
right.
go.
There we go. We're back and we're moving, kind of.
Right? We're moving. We're moving. We're moving enough.
Okay. So what were you gonna
Oh
ask?
yeah. So what have you been working on in this time?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I finally got out of school. Finally, got my new studio set up and everything like that. And for a while, I was super super scared about not being able to like paint or have access to like materials and stuff like that. Because like anything at my downtown location when I was still on campus, it was like any even to ship anything to the location was just like it would take like at least a month. So like even to like order supplies and everything like that, it was like I don't think I can work like that, because I can't go to the store and buy paint. Um, so for a while I was like, okay, maybe we could just go digital, and I did buy like a little tiny drawing device to try to do some digital art, which I had been thinking about for some time. So I made like a quick transition there, and like it at least like held me over for a little bit, and I thought it was super interesting. Because I mean, I was always sort of interested in like working with Photoshop and like collage, but I never actually like used a drawing device before, like a digital drawing device. So I actually really really enjoyed it, and how like the possibilities with just such a simple device, and like how easy it is, and you don't have to buy pigments, but yeah, now that I've finally got my studio set up and everything, it's been such a pleasure just to have, everything here, and just to get back in the groove of like painting, and like just getting back into it, which has been something I've been really building internally for a while.
So where's your setup? Is it like in your house or somewhere else?
Yeah, it's like kind of in the back part of my kitchen.
Do you want to show us? Are
Um,
you there?
I mean, yeah, I'm here right now. I am a total slob,
That's
so
okay. I
it's pretty
mean, like
disgusting.
this is just like the backroom artist tour. So you show us
Yeah, this
around and tell
is
us what you want us to check out. You know, everybody on here, we're all in this together. You know, we're picking up our art and making it work. So show us what you're making work.
yeah, I mean that's it. I showed you everything.
Well, no. Like show us like some details. Show us like
Okay, okay. How do I turn the camera around?
I think you just like double tap it or something, or there's should be a little like reverse button.
Okay, yeah, there we go. Yeah, so this one's one I've been working on for like forever. Um, God, I want to say I started this one like maybe 2 years ago, and this has been the painting I've been working on for the longest. Um, I like painted on it for like at least 3 months straight, and I just kept hating it and just repainting over it and over it. And then I finally landed on something like a year later, and I finally like put a figure in there, and it just wasn't doing anything for me. I was like, okay, I still like moments of it, but just overall, it's not pushing it for me. So that's kind of how I work, and that's kind of my
Can you show
process.
us a little close up? I'm going to bring up some of your images in a moment for everybody else out there. But I like the kind of little bit of see the studio and then we'll see some finished pieces. I don't know. We might change it up in the future, but that's how we're doing it today. Yeah, what are the parts that you like? Show us like a little part that you
Okay,
like
so
especially
I
about it.
decided to keep the hand in there, because that's like pretty much the only part that I thought was really working. And I kind of liked some of the texture at the bottom, with the black against that kind of like warm kind of gray. Um, but pretty much everything else, I was like, okay, well, this needs to end. This needs to stop.
Cool.
Yeah,
I love seeing like how it's set up because I keep working on my painting setup and I'm like, oh, and then I'm here and I'm there and I'm like, how do I reset up in the gallery? How do I reset up at
yeah,
my house? It's a strange world.
yeah. I'm pretty much anytime I'm painting, like I'll reset up everything to like how I want it. I usually like in my head, I usually think of it like setting up a drum kit. Like I like everything like surrounding me, so I can like really quickly just like grab what I need. Um, but for a while, like especially in college, I was painting on my bed, um, and just like because I mean my paintings aren't too big; they're like about 4 feet tall. So just like putting it at the foot on my bed, and I'll just kind of like lay there and then paint some, and then like kind of sit back and like look at it. Um, but not the most ideal, but but I mean like for me like it's more about the immediacy of like when I want to paint, I need to paint right now. Um, Rather than like, getting the whole thing set up or like going all the way to the studio and dragging my painting with me and setting everything up. So but now I'm super glad to have my own setup in my home. Oh yeah, this one.
Yeah, what's going on here?
Um, so that one was when
Because
was
it
that?
might
That
be
was
cropped, so I'm not
yeah,
sure
yeah.
exactly what the crop was. Should we like, are they, which one? One, two. You tell me.
We can start with two.
Okay.
So this one was like my first painting in like this kind of figure series that I'm doing. Um, and it was my sophomore year in college. And I was like just kind of learning still about like painting in general. Um, and thinking about like what it means to be a painter, what it means to work with paint, all that kind of stuff. So for a long time, I was like, well, I was started as a figure drawer, and then when I got to college, I was like, okay, I want to do painting and drawing. So I did a lot of figure drawing and stuff like that. And then when it came time to painting, I was like, I know like a little bit about like drawing with a brush, but I don't know much. So pretty much my first like year and a half at the School of the Art Institute of Chicago was just like learning how to paint and like learning about composition and like um, textures and like colors and just thinking about stuff like that. So that was a lot of my early work. Just kind of figuring out more abstract kind of ideas about art. Um, this is acrylic paint actually, for the question down there. So I only paint in acrylic. That's just kind of a lot of my process. Like it's a lot about layering and scraping away. So for me to paint with oil, it's actually really I really hate it. Um, but yeah, so this painting in particular though, it was me trying to reintroduce the figure into my paintings. I had done like one small kind of study of a figure, and I was like, okay, yeah, this is kind of expressive and it's kind of abstract, and this is kind of what I want to be doing. Um, so when I started this one, my professors kept telling me to use like all this color and like really push it, with the emotion and everything like that. And any time I would just like lay down like an orange or something like that, I just felt so disconnected to it. And it just felt like so strange to me and like just so bizarre. And I was like, why am I not connecting with this? So like I kept like pushing paint around on this one. And like originally I had painted the figure in like a completely different position and it was like super red and orange and like washy. Um, and it was just something that I really didn't connect to at all. And I was like, man, this is just going nowhere. I'm really like trying to push myself and it's just not happening. So like uh, I kept doing like what was it like 2 a.m. to like 5 a.m. sessions in my studio. with like just music blaring loud and just like really, really trying to like get into the expressive quality of like the paint. So I just poured like a bunch of ochre on it, and then I poured some black on it too, and that for me was like a great starting point. And I was like, okay, you know what? I think I can build from here. Um, and then the figure, I had done it all, I think, in just one sitting. Um, and I was kind of like, oh yeah, so I can see like the black here is kind of like you can see like the weight of it, and it feels like there needs to be a body there. So from there, I just kind of started building the figure off of it and like playing with the space and like because the leg, if you can see the full image, the leg is like really coming out with the knee and the foot. So everything else really kind of fell back into the space. So
And we can see
um,
that on your Instagram, right? We can see this image.
yeah, yeah. Um, it's the red jar, um, and the torso, like the way that the light was going on it, and just using like white, and then just like hating what I was doing to it. So I just kept like putting white and then scraping it away, putting white and then scraping it all away, and then eventually I had that really nice kind of wash to it, which I was finally satisfied with. Um, and then at the time, I remember I was taking like a super, super rigorous figure drawing class. Um, so when it came time to like do other parts of the figure, like the face and stuff like that, like I was just like, okay, I've been super, super meticulous about how I draw the figure. I want to forget all that right now. I just want to go in. I just want to do it really quick. I want to do it with marker. This needs to be permanent. This needs to be like super like effortless. Um, so I wanted to be like very, very quick and easy with it. Um, and then like some parts I felt like I had overdrawn it, so just wipe it away really quickly. Um, because I mean, for me, like it was all about finding that balance of like drawing versus painting versus like hard objects in the space. Um, yeah, and that's kind of the whole story with this one. So this painting was kind of it was kind of painted at the same time actually. But yeah, again, if you can see the full image, it's like it's just more about shape and the kind of black and white, and like dealing with texture. So kind of what I was talking about earlier about like just thinking about ideas of paint and how it's sitting on the canvas and like what comes forward, what goes back into the space. And I think there's like some paper in here too, some other elements of collage. I can't remember if I had crayon in this one, but there was definitely marker too. But I remember like pretty much whenever I paint, I just like grab any material that I want really, and just like if I want like a really gross texture somewhere, I'll just grab a crayon and throw it on there. Um,
Is that like Mod Podge for collage, or what are you using for collaging?
it was just some like I think it was just paper that I painted on, and then like I didn't like how it looked, so I like ripped some of it off, and then like it just kind of stuck that way, and I was like, oh yeah, okay, I guess that works. Just very very hectic kind of stuff. And then I threw like a little like slice of brown paper in there in the corner, and I was being very random. Again, this was like super like 5 a.m. session, and I just remembered. Again, I just wanted it to be very like fast and very like visceral with the feeling of how the paint is sitting there.
I love
Um,
those 5 a.m. sessions.
oh yeah.
So what music are you playing during your like 5 a.m. sessions, or like what are you playing
um,
lately?
that's a great question. So my entire figure drawing series is inspired by this one album by Justice. Um, it's their very first album. For me, it was like super super impactful. Um, because of like it's like people describe it as like dance music. I don't really see it as dance music, but for me it's like it's super like over the top and very like it has such a presence to it, and it's very kind of forceful, and it's very visceral, and it's very kind of in your face. So for me, like as soon as I kind of was hearing the album, I was like, wow, I like this is a painting. Like this is my thesis for like my work. Like I need to adapt this somehow. So for me, like even when I was painting the other one and like all my paintings going forward, I've been listening to like the first album by Justice and their live rendition of it, and just like thinking about how to kind of like embody the music when I'm working and really kind of like make it take over my brush stroke. So I'm not overthinking and I'm not like scared of where the paint's going to land and really letting like those decisions be guided by the music and just the kind of moves that they're making in there.
Have you reached out to Justice and told them yet?
Um, I'm trying to think if I did. I probably did like a really weird Instagram post because I think I was in their number 1% fans on Spotify.
That's
But
awesome.
yeah, I guess I'm a very big fan.
Which so you'd like to meet them, right? If anybody knows Justice, right?
Oh, no, no, thank you.
You don't want to meet them?
I love their music. I'm not too sure I love them. I love their work for the same reason I would love them.
That's totally fair. That's totally fair.
But yeah.
Cool. Let's go on.
Yeah, so this one was last November, I think I was painting this a little bit earlier, October probably. So this one, it was like uh, kind of thinking that, well, this one I wanted it to be like kind of like the other one, a sort of quicker, kind of more gestural kind of thing where it's all sort of about the impact and I'm not too thinking too much about it. Because a lot of the other ones I can get super, super stuck in the process and just constantly reworking it and reworking it. But with this one, I wanted it to be kind of like a fresh kind of break in the kind of series, an interlude. But that's the way I think about it. But so for me, I started with the background and I kept rotating it and being like, okay, maybe the figure's over here. And then once I painted the figure in there, I struggle with the face of this one a lot because I really didn't want to put like a face with like a gaze in there. So I was going through old footage that I had taken. I do photography sometimes, just like random street stuff. And I found this photo of somebody with a shadow from their cap just over their face, and I was like, this is it. This is great because it like kind of bridges all those problems about having too much of a confrontational thing where it's you're sort of um, hiding yourself from the viewer, but it's not giving too much or too little information because there's still those elements there. So I was really excited once I kind of had that idea and was running with that. And then pretty much once I had the figure in there, I wanted to treat the rest of the painting kind of like a landscape and just kind of like go like really kind of wild with the brushes and just kind of like feel out the space of it. Um,
So I have a question here.
sure.
What from I don't know if you'll be able to answer for this one, but I'm curious what kind of wisdom did you get from your teachers that you were able to pull from that influenced you? I mean, maybe specifically with this painting, or maybe some things that you learned through your time at school that you'd be willing to share.
Yeah. I mean, okay, like a lot of professors were pulling me in very different directions about my work, um, which I thought was super interesting. Pretty much the big thing that like everyone was shouting in my ear was like, Jared, you need more color in your work. These are all like gray paintings, and like some people were super excited about that, but other people were like, where's the orange? Where's the red? And I was like, ask someone else. Um, but something that one of my professors really resonated with me was they said that like what's super interesting about my work is that like you start a painting, um, and the figure emerges like through the process of painting, but you don't like, okay, here's the figure, this is my composition, because I don't sketch it out or anything like that. I just work with the paint and I just kind of really go with the flow and like kind of trust my gut, or at least try to, about where things should go. So I felt like that was something that really stuck with me. Um, Something else, oh man, Dan Gustin, that was his name. My figure drawing teacher, um, my super rigorous professor. Um, it was like kind of something that he had told me about just like drawing and painting in general. Was like, when you put something down, um, that it's not permanent. Like it's always there. Like you put it down to change it later. So when you're putting down a figure, when you're drawing a hand, the first marks you make are not there forever. And I felt like that was such a um, kind of revelation for me. Like especially when like you're drawing a big painting and you put in the figure and I'm like, well, I'm not super excited about the figure, but I'm just gonna kind of go with it. But like constantly like reevaluating and like, okay, well the I've changed my ideas about this painting and I'm gonna go accordingly to that. Or oh, this hand looks different than I anticipated with it, and I'm gonna either go with that direction or like bring it back to what I originally intended. And that was something that he really like drilled into us working in his class with drawing with charcoal and stuff like that. Um, and drawing like live models who were like moving and stuff like that. And he would have us like switch places with someone across the room and be like, okay, now go do their drawing for them and like erase whatever you think is wrong. And like these really like for me at least, it was such a like mind-boggling exercise. Like I can't touch someone else's drawing. And he's like, do it, like it's not sacred. It's just a drawing, And these are these big kind of like ideas that I was like, whoa, that's such a revolutionary way to think about like attacking a thing. Because like if you see something and you know it's wrong and you're unhappy with it, just go in with it and address it, which for me is something that just like really just opened my mind completely about drawing and painting and like which is why I'm so hard on myself and constantly reworking my stuff. Because if I'm not like at a 100% level of satisfaction with it, I'll be like, okay, well this thing I hate that area. This area is not really like it's just not there for me, and I'm not resonating with like this little area or this thing, and just constantly going back in and just changing it from there.
It's so interesting that you can change it. It's
Yeah.
yeah, I guess with my work it's like very interesting because I've been working a lot with ink lately and I just can't go back and change it. So it's interesting hearing I'm making erase paper, so it's one directional. I
Oh
mess up
yeah.
and I gotta go with it.
I mean, I guess you start again. That's kind of the equivalent of
Yeah.
that.
You just start again. So it's interesting here you're going back and you're changing and you're like reworking it um and so that's kind of like a fascinating idea for me at the moment. I'm like, oh, I can't even do that even if I wanted to. But
Yeah.
it's
I mean,
it's
yeah,
really cool.
now that you mention it, yeah, it's a big part of like materials and stuff like that. Because like I would always work with like pen and ink when I did my drawings or like super dark graphite. And then when I started to do like acrylic and oil, like I would just hate to change anything with it. But once I was in that classroom with him and I started working with charcoal for the like pretty much the first time, and I was like, dude, I hate charcoal. I really don't want to do this. And then he was like, you're gonna do this and you're gonna learn how to do this. And then by the end, I like loved using it. I was like, wow, I can just change anything I want. Which was such a eye-opening experience. Which is why like I don't I mean I do sometimes, but I don't usually paint on canvas. I paint on like a hard like wood chip, like with like a backing and stuff like that.
Really. And then
So
you
it
just gesso it,
allows. What was that?
and then you just gesso the hard wood chip.
Yeah, and then because it allows for like such a hard, firm surface that like a cloth like canvas would just like completely break under the pressure. But it allows me to have like these super thick layers where I can just keep scraping back in and like painting over, and it allows me to like build up the layers or like just keep making adjustments, and it doesn't like give in under the weight or like have too much of a an impression because of how much I'm changing it.
Cool. So where do you store all of these?
Um,
Or how do you store them?
Well, I pretty much have like a little closet. I think it's supposed to be for clothes, but it's like super long. Um, I mean, I can show you right now.
Yeah, sweet. Yeah, show us where these paintings are at. Don't, doesn't
Yeah.
everybody love there? Give them some stars for showing us, put some emojis down there.
So, I mean, I recently took some of them out for documentation,
Oh
but
yeah.
yeah, I just have this super weird closet here, and I was like, this looks perfect to put all my large paintings in.
Yeah,
I don't know what this.
feel free to flip through some or like show us some details, like because we can only see things so big on this screen. So if you have some like details
That's true.
like zoom in on and you just want to hold it there for a second, feel free. Feel free to talk about anything. Yeah, what's going on?
Um,
Yeah, just show us like anything that you just want to show us that you're like, oh, like people need to see this. I'd like if people knew about this part of what I do.
okay, I think this one, yeah, this one's upside down.
Oh, awesome.
But this is a
You can
upside
flip
down
the phone
portrait, I guess.
around. You can just
Oh
flip the
yeah.
phone. We'll never know.
Where are we?
I'm not
There
sure.
we are.
When are we? When are we?
Oh yeah. Good point. Yeah, so for me this was one of the other ones that I was super just satisfied with like immediately as soon as I put it down. I
Mhm.
think I only did one session with that face and I was just like, wow, this just has like it's just so simple, but it just I found it super effective um for the kind of like vibe I was going for. Um
Oh, also, are these for sale? We have a question here. I want that in my living room. Are they for sale?
Um, I'm about to put like a few of these pieces for sale on my website, but the majority of them are not for sale.
Or at least not
But
yet. Not until you have to pay some rent.
exactly.
Okay, so check out your website, and that's linked on your Instagram page.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, I don't think the prices are published yet, but they'll be on there in like very soon.
Oh,
But yeah, and then this is the latest
wait,
one
wait,
I've been
wait.
working on.
Manuel, which one did you want? Is that the one that we were just looking at? Because maybe we can know if there's a price on that one. Yeah, feel free. We're gonna start selling paintings on here, and this is how we're supporting the Freedom Tapestry project because we get a percentage. So, for future, we're selling paintings right off here. Okay, tell us more.
Yeah, so this was one that I like just finished, I think last week. Um, but yeah, I was this was one that I was like kicking around for such a long time. Um, but I was just having so much fun, like because like my new setup, it finally has daylight, so I can finally like see the colors that I'm working with. Um, so for me, it was super fun to like get into this painting and like really have all these rich kind of colors. Because with this painting in particular, it was like this kind of area up here in the corner, where I was just kind of throwing around that paint, and the colors there were just something so different than I usually do. And I was like, wow, this is so weird, but there's something so like kind of electric and like kind of visceral about it too, but something so kind of cloudy and smoky. Um, so for me, I was like, maybe this painting could take such a different kind of take on my usual kind of palette. Um, so this was something I was kind of going into, which inspired like the rest of the painting here. Um,
Will you take some of that and move it into your next painting? Because I was just talking to a painter, Kat Tesla, and she's talking about how she has this like frame that she uses like a matte frame, and then she'll like move it around,
hmm,
and she'll like take a piece of like the one canvas, and then she'll like reassess like that stuff in another section and make another painting based on it.
yeah, yeah.
How do your paint? Do you ever like take sections of your painting and move them into the next thing, or is it like completely fresh, or like what's your process for that
Um,
composition?
let me get back down to my chair.
Yeah, go for it.
Um, yeah, I mean for me at least, it's like the process. I like to think that I'm like starting from scratch, but really I'm not. I'm like I've become so um accustomed to like certain parts of it because like just from like the past, what was it? Because pretty much after I did the first painting, I had like a year where I just kept painting figures and just nothing good was coming out of it. I just kept listening to my professors, um, and them telling me like, oh, I need to color, I need to do this, I need to do that, and I was just like so unconfident that like they were just pushing me in a direction for like a painting that they want, and I was just like, I'm still not satisfied with it though, and I don't know what's wrong with me, that I'm not getting satisfaction out of this, and it's like, well, I wasn't directing it. So for me, like what I kind of landed with is like the color palette that I have as like a good kind of starting point, that kind of ochre and black, and like and building from that point at least. And then for a few different paintings, I had tried starting with a figure, and seeing where that kind of led me. Um, but for me, like in the back of my head, like I keep thinking to myself, pretty much whenever I start a new painting, I was like, oh man, this is so similar to the last one. It's just gonna look exactly the same. And I just keep like worrying about like how similar they are, and like how weirdly entwined they're gonna look. And then um like similar to your comment earlier. But then like for me, it's all about like the differences about like what happens with the paint, and like listening to the weirdness of the colors that happened, and listening to like, oh, maybe this one doesn't need a face, maybe this one disappears at this moment, and listening to what the paint and like what the image is really asking for.
I've been finding this interesting in my own work, and I'll just share this for a moment. Is that I was like, for certain periods of time, I'm like, oh, I'm painting these, and they're like kind of all in this little section, and oh, I need to try something new. But then it's strange when I've seen them together and in other ways. It's like, oh, then people are like, oh, I really want that, I really like that, and it was like the one thing, and it's so hard to go back to that series, or whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
And it was just like just in me for that period of time. Um, have you found anything like that with, like how do you go back to series, or like is it always just unidirectional for you, or how is that?
Um, I mean, for me, it's like it kind of goes back to like what inspires me. Um, because for me, like I'm not like, oh man, these paintings are so cool. Let me do more of those. Like for me, like it's such a it's a point of like, what am I ready to do, and like always just going with my gut. Like if I like didn't have the need to paint a figure, I probably never would ever again. Like these are really hard to paint, and they take so long. Like what was it? Just well, this last one I painted took me a while, but I think I finished it, at least the last layer, in like a month, and then the one before that took me about 3 months to finish. Um, and because just constantly reworking and stuff like that. But for me, as far as like going back to a series, it's it's sort of like reminiscent of like the time and what I was thinking about, and like kind of what was inspiring me. Um, so for me to get back into that very kind of um, zone, I mean, I would say that's very uh, uh, like applicable to my figure paintings, because of like, at least like for me, this is the longest series I've been working on, even though it's just been like 2 years, 2.5 years. Um, but like for me, it's not because like I like the images so much, but I mean I like them, but like for me, it's a point of like taking a long break, whether that be like a 6 months break where I had a whole semester where I was like, okay, I'm not going to paint the figure. I'm done with it for now. I'm frustrated and I need to rest. And if I never want to take it up again, I never will. But once I find the inspiration again, and once I really am like, you know what, this is building and kind of stirring inside of me, and really, I'm getting inspired by the music and the ideas and that kind of pressure and tension to kind of build and pump something forward. Um, so for me, that's been like kind of the reason why this series has kind of been my most prominent one. Um, but my other series, it's kind of like I don't think of them like one-offs, but like it usually they're more kind of reflective of like what I'm going through and like the headspace I'm in. Um, like one summer, I was in like kind of a sort of depressive head state and stuff like that. So I was like I don't want to paint right now. So I did a whole photo series of street photography stuff. Um, because that was like kind of the music I was listening to was inspiring me and kind of pointing me towards that direction, of more observing and less putting myself out there and more seeing myself reflected in other people. Um, but again, like for me, that was such a timely thing, and maybe I'll feel that way again. Maybe I'll come back to that in a different way. Um, but for me, that's kind of how I address my different series.
That's so important. And switching that medium is so important. Um, Now you mentioned about like that you work until you're satisfied, and like you mentioned about how your teachers were driving you to paintings that weren't necessarily satisfactory. Um, could you tell me a little bit about like what you seek in satisfaction, and how creating and making, what is that, and how is it tied to your like satisfaction? What drives you?
Yeah, I mean, for me, like, um, I'm gonna keep bringing this up because this is like kind of what inspired the series for me was the album that I was listening to by Justice. So for me, like even when I was first like kind of originating the ideas and like not really like thinking about what it would look like visually, but just kind of like feeling what it would be like. Um, and I was kind of like, yeah, it needs to have this kind of emotive quality to it, and it needs to reach a certain kind of state where I'm connecting with it. And if I'm not reaching that connection with it, it's just not important to me, and I have no reason to see it through or care about it. So for me, it's about reaching a point where I do care about it and where I am satisfied with it and where I am, I feel like I'm doing something and I'm connecting with myself in that way and really kind of pushing the material to make myself kind of come out through it. And if it's in a place where I don't feel that about the painting, then it's like, well, it might as well, I might as well toss it, or do something else with it, um, use as a bookshelf. It's like it's not the same thing for me. So for me, kind of like what I kind of keep thinking about is like thinking about the my interpretation of the album and using that as like kind of a kind of way of like decoding or like adapting that into like a visual kind of language. So for me, like the painting almost needs to have like a 1-to-1 ratio to like a track on the album or something like that. And that's something that I kind of keep thinking about and like what does this represent in the album? Is it a place in there? Is it something that I'm really connecting with? Is it what am I feeling with it? Um, which I think is something that can be really overly analyzed with me at least. But I try to like I try to sit with it for a while and really kind of like think about the impact it has and like that's kind of where my reevaluating kind of starts and stops hopefully because otherwise I could just keep going on and on. But like once it reaches that point, because some of them can look very effortless and some of them can be extremely efforted, and to kind of reach a point where I feel okay working both kind of ways. Um, I think it's important to have that kind of ending point, which is again something a lot of professors kind of grilled into me because they were like, you're working on a painting too long. There needs to be an ending point, and for me that's my own satisfaction with it emotionally.
So that ending point, like ties in with like your emotional like satisfaction, like reaching
Yeah,
that point and being like, oh, okay, I can like step away now. It's okay.
yeah.
We're probably in the 5 minute range left. I'm not sure how exactly long,
Okay.
the 2 minute warning, but I just wanted to let everybody know. Um, any pressing thoughts or ideas or emojis that anybody wants to share in the comments. We're going to go do the quick round. You have 30 seconds to answer the question or less. Is it good? So feel free to ask any questions down there. Is it good for an artist to change their style up? Says Manuel.
I think definitely. That was something I did a heck of a lot, especially my early years of college. I started drawing and painting super like photorealistically, and then when I started doing like completely non-photo stuff and like completely just painting from just what I felt with the material, it really opened me up. And for me, that was kind of what kind of sprung my style out of it.
Okay, so from Daz, says that your work reminds them a lot of Francis Bacon. Who are who are some of the top painters or artists or people that inspire you? This is the 30-second round, so quick.
Okay, so definitely Francis Bacon was mentioned a lot in college to me. But honestly, I think Jennifer Packer, hugely inspirational, especially when I was first starting out with the series. Manet, especially with his color palette, and I think Giacometti.
Awesome. And your top musical artists. Go.
Okay, here we go. Justice, um, Quincy Jones, because he's amazing. Um, Now I'm blanking on a third one.
That's okay. We only need two.
Okay.
That's fine. That's fine. That's fine. Your top, do you have any favorite Instagram people that you follow that other people should follow? You don't have to, but just a question.
Jacqueline Sartor. She's an amazing painter here. We went to school together, and I think her work it sort of deals with a lot of what I'm dealing with, but in a very kind of different way. She has a very different kind of like representational language than me, but I think it's very impactful.
So
She's
maybe
awesome.
you'll post a story and tag us in there, and then we'll repost. All right, perfect. So Ben says your work is filled with emotion. How do you feel? This is the quick round, but I'm gonna ask it anyway. How do you deal with emotion when you're dealing with your work versus like maybe personal life? Is that like relational for you?
Um, okay, how do I answer this quickly?
We have 2 minutes
Um,
left, so
Okay, well, usually for me, it's usually very separate. Actually, like for me, if I'm dealing with something personally, I usually won't want to paint. But for me, if it's something that's kind of really festering in my mind and like kind of really kind of stirring in me and pushing me, it's usually I don't feel very like motivated by personal drama and personal like emotional stuff. That usually tends me to like climb up a little bit more. But yeah, I think the painting is very different.
perfect. All right, I'm going to say a couple words, and you're going to say a couple words. We've got about a minute, 10 seconds left. So thank you all for joining the Freedom Tapestry Project. Tonight, I think you can go onto the Jam Nation and see all of that with Ben's other project, and it's kind of a sister project with music and jamming and all of that. We're going to have more artists and awesome people on here. Feel free to message us with anybody who you feel like we should have on here, and we'll see what we can do. If you want to be on here, we've got a curation, but feel free to message us, send us links, tag us in stories. This is the Freedom Tapestry Project. Anything else? And thank you for joining. What else would you like to say?
Thank you all very much for joining. Stay safe.
Yes, stay safe in this time. Keep painting, and we'll see you next time.